A common high school student named Kimito Kagurazaka is busy with his usual life at school when this average commoner's life takes a turn and Kimito gets rushed and later kidnapped by multiple muscular men. These jack dudes take Kimito away and throw him at the gate of Seikain Academy, an elite all-girls school especially made for the daughters of the wealthy families. Kimito is welcomed by a maid named Miyuki, who is assigned to be his personal mate at the school. Miyuki takes Kimito to the office of Sayuri, who's responsible for looking over things at Seikain Academy. Kimito's reason for being kidnapped is revealed to be the misconception of him being interested in men, especially those with huge muscles. However, the situation is completely opposite, since Kimito is just the usual hetero guy who is interested in women. Kimito receives a threat to his masculinity when Miyuki warns him with her giant scissors, making Kimito fold his preferences hilariously. Miyuki further explains that the reason for Kimito's enrollment in the academy is to make him the school's commoner sample, for the girls to understand both men and the outside world better, since the past graduates of the academy have a record for struggling a lot in the real world and ultimately becoming antisocial social shut-ins. Kimito agrees reluctantly, since he has no other options, and is introduced to his class where all girls are curiously waiting to meet him. Kimito steps into class and is welcomed by a girl named Reiko Arisugawa, who is a perfect model student in the school. Kimito's plan to hide his sexual preferences seems to get even more difficult after he meets another girl named Aika Tankubashi in the school lawn. Aika has a free-spirited personality and is a social outcast who says whatever comes to her mind. Aika demands of Kimito to make her popular in school somehow so she can make actual friends, and Kimito somehow agrees, making her the first member of Kimito's Commoners Club. Kimito's first official morning starts out with his mate Miyuki being right on his face as she tells him about how she wishes he would have never woken up after all. Kimito's quite surprised from just the thought of having a personal mate, but also worries about hiding his sexual preferences. Kimito's day at class goes with many girls being surprised by common things that are a part of his lifestyle, like a smartphone and playing video games to pass his free time. Kimito shows the girls some commoners' food or cup noodles, but all of the girls get evenly surprised upon looking at this sight for the very first time. Later that day, at the Commoners Club, Aika visits Kimito's room for professional club activities, but ends up just having fun spending time with him while discovering new things. Kimito introduces Aika to manga during professional club activities as well, and Aika is more surprised to read manga than she has ever been in her life. Quite the obvious reaction from a Seikain Academy student, no? Kimito also succeeds in making Aika believe in her new ability to stop time after reading the manga, but Aika ends up in an embarrassing situation, making a fool out of herself. A party is held in the honor of Kimito's arrival at the academy, and despite being a common man, Kimito manages to hold his own in a dance with Reiko at the party. Reiko turns out to be quite the delusional girl, as she is convinced about Kimito wishing to marry her after the party. The girl can be seen liking the idea quite a lot herself. Sometime later, Kimito comes to know that his parents were the ones who got bribed on sending him to this academy as a commoner sample. Quite the shock to our already struggling guy. Kimito is wandering around the academy looking to discover more things when he ends up coming across a young-looking girl who is writing mathematical equations far more difficult than Kimito can ever comprehend. The kid's name is Hakuwa Shiodome, and Kimito invites her to the club room and has a little chat with her after giving her ramen to eat. She likes the ramen a lot and develops a liking for Kimito. He takes her back to her laboratory where she stays and comes to know that Hakuwa is not a little child. Hakuwa is told to be the same age as Kimito by the mates, who also reveal to Kimito that Hakuwa is a super genius who can solve even extremely complicated mathematical equations even at that little age. The maids reveal that Hakuwa has actually taken a liking to Kimito, making them enjoy the whole scene a lot. Hakuwa's addition just made our guy's problems even more difficult, but in a different way. Kimito wanders around the school but comes across Karen Jinryo, who is a short-tempered girl with skills in using a sword. Karen ends up declaring herself as Kimito's slave till the day she is strong enough to kill Kimito in a fight after a weird fight by herself. She proceeds to serve her master by joining the Commoners Club where she comes across Hakuwa. Surprisingly, despite being an angry girl, Karen shows quite a lot of interest in the little Hakuwa. Karen also comes to know about selfies after Kimito takes one as a new club activity and gets obsessed with them for some reason. Sometime later, Reiko invites Kimito to a tea party as she supposedly wishes to have a nice chat with him, but Kimito declines her offer, saying that he has already made plans with Aika. Aika had requested Kimito to help her with setting up a commoners party at the academy so she can finally get popular and make friends by socializing for once. Reiko is at a tea party with her friends, but while the other girls are having fun, Reiko is still bothered by Kimito's refusal and ends up shouting in an unladylike manner at her friends, upsetting them. Hakuwa distributes cell phones in the class for free so that everyone can communicate better with each other, and Aika's master plan to finally make some actual friends can come closer to reality. Poor girls trying hard. Aika notices the disturbed mood between Reiko and her friends. Being the generous lady that she is, she offers Reiko to hold a party. Her bossy attitude makes Reiko upset at Aika's antisocial behavior, and the two get into a little girly argument. Reiko comes to know about the existence of a commoners club, and to follow up with her dreams of marrying Kimito one day, she insists and later becomes an official member of the club alongside Hakuwa. The club activities are going on as Miyuki visits Kimito's room and gets rather displeased with the sight of so many girls in his room at a time. Miyuki yet again threatens Kimito's masculinity with her giant scissors, and the poor Kimito had to play another act of liking muscular men that make different problems for him, since now the girls of the club start to question his preferences. We are introduced to the selfish friend of Kimito named Eri Hanae outside the academy. Eri was the one who originally lied about Kimito's sexual preferences, and no wonder about where Kimito is now. Kimito wakes up next morning to meet Hakuwa in his room. He offers her some common breakfast options and settles on cooking potato cakes for her after she agrees to eat whatever Kimito makes. Kimito lets Hakuwa help, and we witness a wholesome moment where he helps Hakuwa in making the cakes after she washes her hands. Hakuwa turns out to be not that big of a help, but the potato cakes turn out to be a success, since Hakuwa loves eating the potato cakes Kimito made for her. After they're done eating, Hakuwa pulls out a book filled with riddles. But instead of playing riddle games using the book, Kimito asks Hakuwa some riddles that children usually ask when they are in middle school. Kimito asks Hakuwa a simple riddle regarding frogs, but Hakuwa overcomplicates the riddle and comes up with some sort of numerical digit as the answer. Hakuwa gets embarrassed after not being able to answer a simple riddle despite being such a genius, when Kimito reveals such simple answers to the riddles. Hakuwa demands Kimito to ask her more riddles, but he turns her down, saying that he ran out of them. Kimito escorts her back to her laboratory and gets surprised after he finds a plushie of himself in Hakuwa's room. Hakuwa pushes Kimito out after getting embarrassed, making their interaction quite wholesome again. The mates seem to be enjoying this treatment a lot more than Kimito himself. The rest of the girls observe the rather closeness of Hakuwa with Kimito and decide to improve their relationship with Hakuwa so that she would spend less time with Kimito. The girls try to get Hakuwa's attention by offering her treats and tea, but she shows zero interest in eating anything other than what's in her schedule. The master plan of the ladies fails, and Hakuwa leaves the room with her mate after asking the girls the same riddle Kimito asked her, but she's left in shock after coming to know that even Aika was able to solve that riddle that she couldn't. Seikain Academy arranges a trip for the students to experience real-life things on a custom-built land named Showman Land. The land had shops and streets just like regular Japan, so that the students could understand the principle of living in the real world, as well as handling simple situations like crossing the roads and ordering food at a fast food restaurant. Kimito finds different flaws in the Showman Land, but sticks to the plan and encourages the girls on ordering their own food. Aika is encouraged by Kimito as he tells her exactly how to order her food so her plan of becoming popular can finally come true. Things don't go quite as planned, as she panics a little, but at the end both Reiko and Aika gain confidence by ordering food themselves, followed by the rest of the girls in the class. The school trip continues, and the class visits common places to have fun, like an arcade. Aika's time to shine finally comes up, as she has a lot of knowledge about these things from all that manga she read at the club activities. She gains a lot of popularity among the students for her knowledge and performance at the arcade. This encourages Reiko to get involved in a dual-person game, and their performance ends up with Reiko and Aika becoming good friends, finally getting close to each other. Kimito comes to know about Karen being scared of his fighting skills that do not even exist in real life. Kimito wakes up in another morning to Miyuki's face, who yet again wishes that he had never woken up. Hakuwa misses Kimito while he is on the school trip a lot, as her mate consoles her. The trip wraps up, and Miyuki is shown to be kissing Kimito all this time, and that was the reason she kept wishing for him to never wake up. Sometime later, Kimito introduces Aika to a fortune-telling game and website, and Aika gets rather amused by the existence of such a thing. The girls gather again at the Commoners Club and decide to give the app a try after it explains their natures rather accurately. All the girls participate in a relationship rating game, and Aika gets hyped up after getting 80 points. Reiko humbles her down after getting 90 points and continues to mock her until Karen accepts to give it a try and gets angry at Kimito for a 0 score. It turns out that there was a technical mistake and Karen and Kimito's compatibility to be a perfect 100. This makes the rest of the girls jealous as they now start acting as if the app wasn't working in the first place, giving us another hilarious interaction. Hakua's compatibility turns out to be 50, which makes her disappointed in her closeness with Kimito. The next day, Kimito is yet again woken up by Miyuki, but this time he asks her if he could wake up to an alarm clock from now. Miyuki gets rather angry at this request, and her reaction makes our guy have another life-threatening experience with her. The next day, Kimito introduces the idea of a maid cafe being a common enjoyment for common people to the girls at the club. This idea doesn't make too much sense to the girls, since they are surrounded by so many maids their whole lives. Being unable to understand the charm of the maid cafe, the girls agree to roleplay one for Kimito and ask Kimito to be the cafe customer. The cafe gets set up in the school and the girls enjoy the process a lot. Things were going almost perfect until Reiko decided to show her vocal skills to Kimito. It turned out that the perfect student isn't so perfect of a singer, and the rest of the group got their minds blown from the horrendous singing of Reiko. It seems like marrying Kimito wasn't the only delusion Reiko was living in. Hakua feels bad after the recent compatibility test, and being depressed over the whole scenario, she decides to invite Kimito over to spend some time with him so she can get to know him better. Kimito comes over and the maids at the laboratory plan out multiple ways to somehow get Kimito close with Hakua, as they enjoy the process of staring at the two of them while enjoying themselves as well. Things were sort of going just as planned, but it turns out that Miyuki had found out about the plan and took Kimito away after giving a little lecture. The maids were still happy that they succeeded in completing the task of helping Hakua spend time with Kimito. Kimito pulls a prank on Aika, and the situation gets worse than he had imagined, due to the students being cut off from pop culture. Kimito's little fad could stay for 10 more years due to the same reason. One day, Reiko overhears Kimito talking on the phone to his friends and saying how much he misses them. Reiko misinterprets it into something along the lines that Kimito wants to leave the academy due to missing other males for such a long time. She tells the other girls about it, and the girls of the Commoners group decide to help Kimito's urge of hanging out with dudes by dressing up as males themselves. This doesn't really work out as they were expecting, but at the end, Kimito reassures them that he was just missing his friends since he hadn't met them in such a long time. The girls feel relieved when Kimito assures them that he isn't going anywhere for now. Kimito and Reiko are having a good time in the classroom before they get summoned to a meeting. It's revealed that the meeting was with Reiko's mother, Hoko, and her brother Masaomi, who doesn't really like the closeness developing between Reiko and Kimito. Reiko's mother reveals that Reiko's marriage has been arranged with one of her business partner's son, and she tells Reiko to leave the academy to attend a meeting with her future husband, so they can discuss some future together. Reiko doesn't seem happy, and even the other girls feel devastated by these news alongside Kimito when he breaks it to them. Since it was Reiko's family matter, the club feels inappropriate to interfere in the matter, but they are assisted by Masaomi later, who also reveals his wish to stop this marriage. Masaomi takes them to the house, which is heavily guarded by armed men. Karen uses her sword techniques to deal with the guards while Masaomi deals with his martial arts instructor. The rest of the three head inside and Hakua assists Kimito and Aika by hacking the security systems. They manage to reach the meeting room with the help of the maids and the muscle men from earlier. Kimito requests Hoko to call the marriage off, which encourages Reiko to decline from the marriage as well. Hoko tells Reiko that she will be disowned from the family and its resources if she declines, but Kimito backs her up by saying that he will take care of her instead. Kimito's message gets misinterpreted as a marriage proposal that surprises the rest of the girls when Hoko agrees to their marriage, making Kimito Reiko's fiancé. Hoko mentions that she has only allowed for the marriage to happen so she can torture Kimito daily till the day that he divorces Reiko. The save ends up making an even bigger problem for poor Kimito than the preference one he was facing already at the academy. Reiko gets successfully saved and the Commoners Club returns to Seikine Academy after a huge commotion. Kimito explains the real meaning behind his words at the meeting to Reiko at the club room, but Reiko still somewhat stays in the delusion of marrying Kimito one day. Kimito's life continues at Seikine Academy, as he has even more things to worry about other than hiding his sexual preferences. Kimito's room continues to face some more chaos as the club activities continue, along with Kimito's life at Seikon Academy as the showman sample.